Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel Malaysia. I'm continuing my video podcast reviews of MOTU Revolution and we're down to episode 4. This one is titled Dogs of War. I think that this particular episode is the one that just silences the critics once and for all. This episode was just freaking awesome. It just took the whole show into an entirely different direction. It just accelerated things. I think that the first 3 episodes had their standout moments, but it seemed a little bit uneven too at the same time. But in this one, it seems like they just finally got everything together and decided that, look, we're just wasting time. Let's just push forward with what this show is supposed to be. Everything just moves at a breakneck pace. But in particular, I would have to say that this is the episode. This is the one episode out of all of the MOTU cartoon episodes in the history of the series animation, whether it was the stuff from the 80s or the 2002, even hell, the New Adventures of He-Man stuff in the early 90s. Out of all of them combined, this is the one episode where we finally see once and for all just what a badass Skeletor is. Okay, Skeletor has always been one of those villains that pretty much, when you think about him in retrospect, he seems like a bit of a buffoon, like a walking skeleton that's just clowning around with half-baked schemes. Like after all this millennia, he can't seem to figure out how to actually be a master of the universe. But not so in this episode. This episode is the one that I think just takes his whole character arc to an entirely new level. And I can't believe, okay, that it's this particular version of him as the Skeletor, which I've mentioned also in the previous reviews that I don't actually like this version of his design. I don't like the way that Skeletor has been presented to us as a half technological, half flesh, kind of like walking Robocop slash still a skeleton kind of thing. But at the same time, right, the writing of the character in this episode, I think just completely nails who he's supposed to be, who is really supposed to be, who is really supposed to be presented to us as. And like I said, no matter what anybody has to say about how much of a disappointment this new series has been, whether it's Revelation or Revolution, nobody is going to be able to deny that Skeletor stole the show. Okay, Skeletor is a complete and total badass here, and this is the series that finally gives that version of him to us. Now, from the events of the last episode, of course, the heroes have been captured. Adam, his mom, they're all incarcerated. Okay, Skeletor has them prisoner, but they're basically just supporting actors, okay? They're basically just background characters here. This is Skeletor's episode, like I told you. And later we find that Andra, the magical man-at-arms who can just do anything, all right? Who can do anything effortlessly, achieve any result. She manages to infiltrate the royal palace and find a way to actually free Adam, the mom, everybody, okay, right? So basically, they're taken care of, okay? What this story is actually about is about Skeletor finally wanting to get what's his. He's tired of getting kicked around by Hordak and his monkeys and just decides to just take charge once and for all of the whole situation. And the first person on his hit list is Motherboard, okay? He just freaking straight up murders her, all right? Beheads her, shoves her head into a box, and just presents it to Hordak like a birthday present. I mean, that scene was horrific, okay? That huge, expensive 12-inch motherboard figure that Mattel Creations put up a couple of months ago, yeah, she's dead. Okay, that's a dead character right there. Another major character dead, I guess, in this whole season. Yeah, it's shocking, honestly, that whole sequence. I don't think that we've ever seen something like this so far in a Masters Universe animation, like a beheaded character, okay, and it's a woman too, right? Like a cybernetic woman, who gets murdered by Skeletor. Has Skeletor actually physically murdered anybody yet so far in any of the incarnations? I'm not really sure, but this is Skeletor pulling up a straight up Megatron move, okay? Like Megatron in Transformers, the movie 1987, just freaking murdering all those Autobots on the Ark. That was horrific. Okay, this is pretty horrific too, right? So Skeletor has just murdered Hordak's right-hand person, and he's taking the fight straight to him. Okay, that scene was just freaking exhilarating. Okay, that Skeletor decides to just strip away all the pretenses and just tell Hordak, you know what? Screw you. Okay, I'm coming for you. Right? And when he does it, He's like directly in front of Hordak. Okay, they're about to start fighting, all right? And they just literally go at it. Okay, they go at it without wasting any time. This is the kind of stuff that the fans want to see. Okay, so they're giving it to us, and man, they freaking delivered on this fight scene. You know what? I just remembered. Skeletor did murder somebody before, right? In the live action movie, he murdered Sorot. Remember? Just freaking disintegrated that reptilian lizard warrior type gladiator. Yeah, Sorot was just freaking turned to ashes. Okay, but in the cartoons, I'm not really sure if Skeletor ever really killed anyone though. Okay, let me know in the comments. Anyway, all this is going on, and over at Gwildor's home, okay, where we left them last episode. So Gwildor and Orko are in charge of the power sword, fine-tuning the power sword so the thing can be used to reverse the effects of the nanovirus, and they get set upon by like the Horde army, and also three of the Horde's hardest hitting bad guys, Leech, Grislaw, and Mentana. They're all there. And I was honestly a bit disappointed with this whole fight scene that breaks out there, because I was expecting more from these guys. Okay, these guys were like the major Horde bad guys. Apparently, they all get taken down pretty easily by Orko's magic, which I thought was a bit of a cop out. You know, I felt that, look, you know what? That scene just felt like they were just trying to get the whole thing moving and just get rid of these guys as fast as possible. I would have expected more. I wanted to see more of these guys in action. I wanted to hear them talk at least, you know. Doesn't Grislaw talk? I mean, he talked in the comics, right? And so did Leech. I mean, I don't really think I actually heard them say anything verbal the whole time. They just grunted, made sounds, stuff like that. Yeah, so, I mean, that whole execution was pretty disappointing, I guess, for me personally as a fan. I was really looking out to seeing these guys in action. And also the fact that Orko was able to like just take them all down pretty easily. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of bullshit, okay? But it is what it is, okay? But the main fight scene in this whole episode, the main battle here is between Skeletor and Hordak. And this is something that was just executed brilliantly. Okay, the whole fight scene, the way it was choreographed, you know, they went all over the place. Okay, they were fighting underneath, upstairs, below, above, you know, all over the royal palace. Okay, flying here, flying there, you know, all the way up to the gates of Castle Grayskull. Just basically the fight took them all over the planet, right? And the whole time we're treated to some really awesome dialogue and exchange, you know, between the two of them. And honestly, you know, I don't think that I mentioned that much about Hordak's portrayal, you know, by Keith David. Keith David, of course, legendary actor and also voice actor. Let's not forget, he was one of the last survivors of John Carpenter's The Thing. All right, but Keith David has voiced some of the most memorable characters in animation: Goliath from Gargoyles, Spawn. You know, here, I mean, as Hordak, he's fantastic. Okay, this is the one episode where basically Hordak gets the most screen time. So you get to hear Keith David's portrayal of the character the most. And I would have to say that this is just yet another character that he completely nails, right? Yet another character that he will be remembered for. And when it comes to Mark Hamill's Skeletor, I mentioned before that I wasn't too impressed by his work on the character. It just seemed like him doing the Joker all over again, with the laughter and the puns and the laughter too again, right? But in this particular episode, the writing for Skeletor is so strong that finally I feel that Mark Hamill's portrayal of him gets to shine, all right? So the character exchanges are incredible, the fight scenes are incredible, and finally, you know, after all that pushing and shoving and blasting around, Skeletor straight up murders Hordak. And even though at first it may have seemed like it was something impossible, that there's no way that he could take down the master himself, there's no way that he could take down his own mentor, right? But he's able to do it. And the way that they did it, I think, was brilliant, okay, in explaining the fact that Hordak was never able to master magic, right? He was only a master of technology and technological advancements. But when it came to stuff like magic, he made Skeletor master it, okay, as part of his training. He even gifted him with the ultimate tool of magic, the Havoc Staff, the staff that transformed him from this handsome blue-skinned devil into that walking skeleton that we know. So yes, Hordak's responsible for everything that Skeletor is, and now having turned him into a half cybernetic being as well. Skeletor is the ultimate combination of magic and technology, and the perfect person to completely obliterate Hordak. So this episode, honestly, for me, was packed with surprises. Okay, because I never expected it to be the one episode that we finally saw Skeletor step up and truly be one of the greats. All those lame jokes of his, all those even lamer defeats, all of those things have been erased completely with just this one episode. That's how I feel about it. I don't know what you guys think about it. But for me, if Revelation turned out to be the secret history of the origin of Evelyn, then this whole Revolution arc is turning out to be the origin story of Skeletor, and one that actually just makes him completely a legitimate bad guy. Anyway, drop your comments below. I'm left with one more episode to review. I'll get down to it if I get a good enough response for this podcast review. If I get something like about 50 likes, I'll get started on that. If not, we'll do some other videos. Let me know. Hit me up in the comments, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content. Take care out there.